sometimes getting your teeth into a standard self-help book with a list of to-dos doesn't always work for everyone. That format doesn't really work for me. I'm a real nonconformist. I'm a free thinker, and I like to have my own ideas. But what we got through with these books is little tips that, while you're reading a great story about somebody that takes you on an adventurous journey, you're picking up tips and pieces of good advice that sink in a little deeper and they stay with you. So when you come across these obstacles or decision-making times in your life, you go, oh, it's always better to have an experience from a story than reading a lesson in a book. That's my thing. And my father was very experiential like that. He, as I said, he was really young. He left school early. He didn't finish school. He wasn't literate. Yet he became a very successful man. He created a great community. He was a patriarch of our community. And he too had multiple streams of income. He worked, he had side jobs, he did landscaping, he worked in a factory. So he did a lot of amazing things. Plus, he was accountable to his community. He was a teacher and a guide for the young people that were coming up in our community. In fact, when he passed away, we have 3 days of mourning before the funeral, which is common in Maronite Catholic culture, which is Lebanese Catholic. And people that I didn't know, Gail, came to me and my brothers, and they're like, we lived in your father's house when we first came to Australia, and I couldn't tell you how many people came and told us that. It was a really wonderful experience.
Wow. Well, what about Margaret's vision? Where does your vision take you in the next 5 years?
My vision in the next 5 years, I'm actually packing as we speak to move to Colorado, which is, I would say, the adventure capital of the United States, to start Raw Adventure Retreat. And I am very thrilled to be doing that. We have some scheduled retreats that will be coming up on my website, which is rawadventureretreats.com. At this point, we have an email sign up for information, but we definitely do have a trip booked back to Nepal, and that's coming up in another 2 years. But previous to that, we do have some adventures in Colorado, and we have a sailing adventure happening in Australia. So the next 5 years for me is about giving back to women and my community, and helping as many people as I can. So that's pretty much the story of my life. I will continue to do work with the Challenged Athletes Foundation, and that's just what really drives me. I get a big kick out of helping other people.
Well, what about education and learning, Margaret? I know that I met you at a conference, and I know that you're very interested in learning new things all the time. So what do you think about people who are in business? What do you think that they should do about their education and learning? Do you think too many people in business stop learning, or do you think that there are a lot of people who consider lifelong learning something that's really, really important?
Well, I think there are people that get stuck in their own ideas, especially small business operators. And so I think it's very, very, very valuable for people to reach out and connect and learn new things. And it doesn't even matter what it is. You are sometimes really surprised by what you do pick up. And with that said, I mean, I was a high school dropout. Or actually I got expelled from Catholic school. So I was expelled from old girls school, and then I didn't do well in community college in Australia because I had a really hard time with everybody being so young and distracted, and I really do enjoy learning, so much so that years later when I was in my late 20s, I actually got in to do my MBA without an undergraduate degree based on experience and performance from my life and the things that I had accomplished. And so I think it's very important that we do continue to learn and be open. And there's so much good material out there today. And there's so many good speakers. And a good way to start even is just, if you're new to this, is there's so many different angles, is maybe to get on YouTube and have a look at the TEDx conferences. They cover all manners of connection, whether it's, aerospace and interesting kind of things on quantum physics and stuff like that, all the way to environmental, health, wellness, psychological performance. There's so many facets to us as humans that we don't know, to the point that essentially we don't know what we don't know. And what I mean by that is your vision of who you are and where you're going in the world, while it makes sense to you, it's really good to check in to see what other people are doing and how they're moving forward. And I also find that as women, I can't speak for the men here, but the person often that you meet in a room that you find, you think, oh, look at her. Isn't she like, snobby or powerful or beautiful? Or the person that intimidates you the most, I think, is usually the person you really get to know the best. And when you take the courage up to introduce yourself to that woman that just freaks you out or makes you uncomfortable, you'd be surprised what's on the other side and how much you can learn from her.
That's so true. That's so true. Well, now let me ask you something. If people want to get a hold of you, what website should they go to?
They should go to rawadventureretreats.com. I have an email registration page there where you can leave your name and email address and send me a short message of how I can help you or what you're interested in doing. And we can go from there. And I have, of course, I'd be happy to give out my telephone number too, which is 702-378-5627. Please feel free to text me, introduce yourself to me, and we can schedule a time to catch up. Dr. Kale, I just love helping people, and I love working with women because I think that we're very open-hearted, and sometimes we do give away a lot of our power, but in that there's vulnerability, and in that vulnerability is a place of learning and growth.
Fantastic. That's true. That's so true.
And if we're willing to be that, we get so much more, and that's probably the essence of Raw.
Well, if you really want to get to know Margaret, go to her website, rawadventureretreats.com, and leave her a message. Or she gave you her phone number. You can text her as well. I want to thank you for being with us, Margaret, and I want to thank everybody for listening to Women in Business, the show that brings you women entrepreneurs and senior managers. I hope you enjoyed our show today. You can connect with me on Facebook and Twitter, and be sure to download my book, Life Lessons from an SOB, on my website, spunkyoldbroad.com, where you can find information on my speeches, coaching, and resources. And you can email me at Gayle, Gayle, Carson13 at gmail.com. Thanks so much for being with us. And Margaret, best of luck in Colorado.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gayle. It's such a pleasure to be here today. And thank you, everybody, for listening.